Okay, I'll call this meeting of the City of Kerrville Planning and Zoning Commission to order at 4:30. Dorothy, would you call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Bob Waller,
Here.
Garrett Harmon,
Here.
Don Barnett,
Here.
Michael Siegerman,
Here.
Rustin Zuber, David Jones,
Here.
Marty Leonard.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Number one on the agenda, visitor citizens forum. Any person with business not scheduled on the agenda is encouraged to briefly speak their ideas to the commission. Please fill out the speaker request form. Give it to the commission secretary prior to the meeting. Number of speakers will be limited to the first 10, and each speaker limited to 3 minutes. No formal action can be taken on these items, as the Open Meetings Act requires formal action items be posted on an agenda no later than 72 hours before the meeting. If formal action is required, the items will be placed on an agenda for a future meeting. I have three speaker request forms. If you'd like to speak at this time, would you go to the podium and state your name and address, please?
You can wait till the public hearing.
We're speaking on the agenda.
Okay, on a specific item, okay. Number two, the consent agenda. All items listed below in the consent agenda are considered routine or ministerial in nature and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Item 2A is approval of the minutes from the March 16, 2017 meeting. They're on page 3 of the packet. I'll accept a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to accept the minutes as written.
Yeah, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Raise your right hand. Passes 5-0. Thank you. 3A is consideration and action on a preliminary plat. Gordon?
Yes, sir, we have an application for a preliminary plat. This is an additional or another phase of Comanche Trace. I have a representative of the development here if you have any specific questions, but this particular phase is a 34-lot new phase of Comanche Trace. It is filling in a hole on Comanche Trace Drive between phases 4 and 11. And this will make that continuation of that roadway complete with additional home sites. We have 3 small comments to make that we will pass on to the surveyor. We need signature blocks for the city planner and engineer. We would like to have the numbering system coordinate with the old numbering system so it ties together from the 2 phases. And we'd like to have the city limit line, as shown on the preliminary plat, removed because this will be part of the city when the final plat's approved. One other thing to keep in mind with Comanche Trace, that is that with the submittal of a preliminary plat, that initiates the voluntary annexation and zoning process. So at your next P&Z meeting, you will have a public hearing where we will be requesting annexation and zoning of this section of Comanche Trace, because currently it's outside the city limit. Again, is there anything else that we missed? Okay. So staff would recommend that you approve the preliminary plat as submitted with our comment.
Any questions from the commission?
I do have a question regarding the comment from the city as far as renumbering goes.
Yeah.
It says renumbering, i.e. 5 through 16. If you look at the current phase 11, it's got a lot 5 on it. And if you look at on the location map, there's other lots also, so I would assume that it might go 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not sure where the numbering for Block A
Okay,
should start.
I'm sorry, I guess I should have been far more clear than that. That is Lot 5, Block A, and the Lot 5 that you're seeing is in another block.
Okay, but we would be, you're asking to continue the numbering?
Yeah, and what I guess you're correct, I should have said that should be lots 5 through, I've already flipped the page here, through 16, Block A. From coming out of Comanche Trace, Phase 11.
Okay. I guess I'm still a little confused on why Block A wouldn't start with number 1.
Well, Block A does start with number 1. It starts with number 1 in Phase 11, which is off this particular section of the development.
And what number does that lot phase?
Phase 11 goes Lot 1 through 4, Block A. And I'm asking them to pick it up at Lot 5, where they have Lot 18.
Mm-hmm.
I want it picked up there at Lot 5 and brought across.
Okay, so this Lot 5 down here located next to the Phase 11
Yeah,
is on a different phase?
Different block.
Lot 5 is not. Lot 4 is a different phase.
Right across,
Oh, the other lot across the bay, that's in a different block number.
okay.
That's Block C.
Yeah. It is block, I don't know what block that is out of Phase 11. Do you, Ken? Right off? Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, I wanted to be sure that if we're gonna be renumbering, we have
Yeah.
a system that doesn't make it even more confusing.
No, we won't do that.
Okay.
Other questions, comments? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve subject to the changes. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Number 4 is public hearings and action. 4A, public hearing and action on a replat. Gordon?
Yes, so this is a replat of 2 lots in the Kerrville North subdivision, which is off Alpine Drive and Sidney Baker. There are currently 2 lots, and they're replatting this into 1 lot for an office development. Staff recommends approval of the plat as it was submitted.
Okay, this requires a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
I'll open the public hearing at 4:39. Anyone wishing to speak before this commission on this particular item, please approach the podium. State your name and address, please. Seeing no response, I'll close the public hearing at 4:40. Any questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, I'm open to a motion.
I move that we approve the replat as presented.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the replat as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0, no opposition. 4B is a public hearing and action on a replat. Gordon?
Yes, sir, this is a, let me get this right. This is a replat in the Harper Village subdivision, which is a subdivision that's off of Harper Road. It's quite an old subdivision, first established in 1975. Applicant is requesting to replat 2 residential lots into 1 so they can build a home on the site.
Okay, on 4B on this agenda, it shows lot 6 and has an ampersand. Should that be a number?
I'm sorry, yeah, it's lots 6 and 7.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this requires a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at 4:40. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please approach the podium. Now state your name and address, please. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Margaret Sutton, and I own 250 Oak Road.
Would you please move to this podium so we can record it properly?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Where the microphone is, please, right behind you.
Right there.
I'll
There
get
you
here
go.
eventually.
Oh, that's okay, thank you.
Okay, on this plat that I have, I'm number 8. And I just want to make sure, is 6 and 7 going to stay the way they are? Or what about that little chunk? Somebody had told me that little chunk might be changed.
No, ma'am, it stays exactly the way it is.
Okay.
The only thing we're gonna do, if I can show you on your plat,
Yeah,
the only thing they're asking to do is that line goes away,
okay,
and this becomes one big lot.
okay.
The
And
boundaries
then-
stay the same.
The exterior boundaries don't change.
Exterior boundaries stay
Yeah.
the same.
Your boundary here on lot 8, nothing changes,
Okay,
nothing changes.
all right. And the house is going to put like the other house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That far back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I was concerned it might be right at my
No,
back
ma'am.
door.
No, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else to speak in the public hearing? If not, I'll close the public hearing at 4:42. Questions or comments from the commission?
Gordon, are there any existing structures on this property?
On the 2 lots that we're replatting, no,
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Has there been a preliminary site plan for the home?
We have seen a site plan for the home, and the site plan went to the Board of Adjustment 2 weeks ago for rear yard setback.
Okay.
Yeah. This is an interesting subdivision, if you've never been over there. And the way it was platted, the lady lives over there, knows very well. There are a lot of the access, and you can see it on the sort of the sketch that the surveyor put in your package, or put on the map, that those hatched-in areas are access and drainage and utility easements, and very few of these lots have public street frontage. The majority of them, when you get back in there, are accessed off of easements. And as I said at the beginning, this subdivision dates back to 1975, prior to the existing ordinances that we're under right now. So a lot of this is non-conforming, and the subdivision seems to function very well. Interesting. And so what we're dealing with tonight or this afternoon is the elimination of one lot line between those 2 lots. Nothing else will change.
And anything built on that side will be subject to the current requirements?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's why it had to go to the Board of Adjustment. We had to shoehorn this in there.
So just for clarification for the comment that was
Yeah.
made, the house is gonna be on closer to the edge of the plot versus closer to 8, or what side?
No, the house will back up to what is the top of the page.
Okay,
That'll be the rear of the house.
that'll be what?
The rear of the house.
Rear of the house, okay, got it, all right.
Yeah.
Any other comments? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, accept the replatting request.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Okay, number 4C We're gonna hold a public hearing in action, but we're gonna hold the action portion of
Yes, sir.
this.
I would like if you would, I'd like the commission to hold a public hearing in the event that there is someone in the audience that wants to participate, and then hold any action on the replat, and postpone any action, I guess, until the next meeting. Our Public Works Department and the developer of this property are working out some language on an easement, and they haven't quite completed that, so they've asked that we postpone action until the 15th. But do hold a public hearing.
Okay. I'll open the public hearing at 4:46. Anyone wishing to speak to the commission in this regard, approach the podium and state your name and address, please. Seeing no response, I'll close the public hearing at 4:47. And we're going to postpone the action phase of this section until the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Do we need a motion on
I would prefer that you do that in
Okay.
the form of a motion.
Do I have a motion?
I motion to postpone the action on this particular
That'll be
item.
June the 15th.
June 15th? Okay, so I motion to postpone this action item until June the 15th.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor of that postponement, raise your right hand. Passes 5-0. Thank you. 4D is a public hearing and action on a replat. Gordon?
Yes, sir. This is a replat of 2 lots in the G.R. Parson addition at the corner of Davis Street and Webster Avenue. If you went over there, and I hope you did, to look at this, these 2 lots that they are replatted into one is the community garden for that area. And they are asking to have those 2 lots replatted into one. They are making some additions to the lot, and they need it to be 1 lot to do that. And Reverend Noah is here. I know he can answer any question you might have on this garden. But that's the gist of it. They just need to replat this so they can do some addition.
Okay, this also requires a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at 4:48. Anyone wishing to address this commission, please approach the podium, state your name and address, please. Seeing no response, I'll close this public hearing at 4:49. Any comments from the commission?
More vegetables.
Okay, hearing no comments, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve it as presented.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, passes 5-0. We're going to hold a joint public hearing on 4E and 4F, since these are adjacent and contiguous properties. So I'll open a public hearing. We will have the votes, however, on each separate item. So I'll open a public hearing at 4:49. Anyone in the audience wishing to make a comment, approach the podium, state your name and address, please.
I'm Hal Rideout. I reside at 2021 Arcadia Loop, and it is our property and our dream to do this, and so just want to briefly, my wife and I have a mission statement to create spaces and places for people to connect with what matters most to them, and it's been a dream for about a half a century since I was about 16 to pull this off, and we've been saving and working towards this, and we're blessed to have this beautiful property on the Guadalupe River. So we've put a lot of effort into this, and we wish to share it with a lot of people who are wish to come to the hill country. So we felt like we've been doing this right all along in respecting the site and respecting the neighbors and respecting the rules of the game. So we've done a good bit of earthwork and within the 100-year floodplain and worked with FEMA and the city very carefully to do that exactly as the regulations require to create the living space terraces needed to pull this off. And we've been investing significantly in a very eclectic neighborhood, and we mean to be great neighbors, and I believe the non-paying guests that we've accommodated in the last few years have been well behaved in the neighborhood, and we've been careful with our flood control. We've hired professionals like Maxwell Engineering to help us with our below grade drainage system and our above grade drainage system, and to make sure we don't have any impact on neighbors or inappropriately on the river itself. We've tried to create a quality project of quality construction and design, and we've put in fairly extensive landscaping, and we feel like it's a perfect setting for this. And people tell us when they come they have a complete sense of peace and relaxation and renewal, and I think that's the kind of thing we want to promote here in our community, and we ask your permission to move forward with that and offering this to more people to touch more lives. So we also feel like this is meeting a need. A number of years ago, I did some research on this concept and was told it was actually in the city's goals to create more quality B&B facilities, that Fredericksburg was overrun with them, and we are woefully lacking in that. And I'm blessed enough to have some gentlemen in the community come and perhaps share a little bit on that as well.
Before we get
Yes.
too far into it, let me sort of give you a brief. Mr. Rideout provided in your packet, you see a number of photographs of the area. My presentation is much shorter than that. But to give sort of an overview of this, you're here in the public hearing on two properties. They're adjacent to each other. And the property is zoned RC, which is residential cluster. In that particular district, bed and breakfasts require conditional use. So that's what Mr. Rideout is requesting, and that's what the case or the hearing is today, is on two conditional use permits. The first one is at 2031 Arcadia Loop, and the other one is at 2021 Arcadia Loop. Both of the properties have existing structures on them with plans for additions and parking and all kinds of other amenities that go with bed and breakfasts. They both go down to the river, and you can see through the slides and through what Mr. Rideout provided you, they both have splendid views of the river, and they both have really great views of the river and access to the river. The homes are oriented to the rear to where the river is, and he's done a really fine job of putting a package together of how they want this to develop. And this is the second one on 21. You know, our role in this really is just to facilitate his application and let him bring that to you. I have done in my time in Kerrville only one other conditional use for a bed and breakfast. Several of the districts allow them by right. This particular one does not, so that's why he's here tonight. So I can answer any from staff or from the ordinance perspective, but Mr. Rideout, and he's got some other folks here, can answer specifics on the operation of the B&B.
Gordon, thank you. I apologize for
That's
jumping
fine,
ahead.
that's fine.
Have you had comments from your neighbors?
All directly positive to my face anyway, but
We did not
No,
we did not receive any comments back, and we mailed out, well, we wrote 9 per property, but 18 mail-outs. We didn't hear anything back from anyone.
We actually invited all those neighbors affected to an appreciation party for putting up with our construction dust, and a few showed up, but we were able to present what we were doing to all of our neighbors, either in person or with a flyer that we provided, so that they were well informed and had an opportunity to talk to us or to come talk to Gordon about it. And I've not received anything other than positive comments.
Well, if I didn't live here, I'd book myself a night
Okay.
there.
Well, I'm sure you have some family coming, so.
I do. It's a very nice
Okay.
presentation.
Okay.
Thanks, Al.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Charlie McElvain, President and CEO of the Kerrville Convention Visitors Bureau. My address is 2108 Sidney Baker here in Kerrville. And while I'm not in favor of unlimited B&Bs, this is a very exceptional project that will accommodate an upscale market that we cannot currently accommodate. It's an excellent addition to the neighborhood. We are currently losing market share to the Rim area in San Antonio for that reason, because we can't accommodate this market. And Mr. Rideout's proposed project could potentially take care of that. It could also even accommodate very small retreats or small meetings of 6 or 8, 10 people, board members for small meetings. So I think it's a niche market that will do very well here. I certainly encourage the P&Z to approve the request for conditional use permit.
Charlie, how many B&Bs are in Kerrville that you're aware of?
We have very few because a lot of them are trying to run under the radar, to be honest with you. They're not wanting to participate in the hotel occupancy tax collection process, and so they are using methods that, and they're not registered as such. But if you go online, you'll find probably 8 or 10 at least, maybe more than that.
No, you'll find far more than that.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I know that's what's.
Yeah, that is an issue that we as city staff are working through right now as to what to do with these.
I mean, are we referring to like Airbnb, or are we referring to
VRBO.
non-Airbnb?
I'm sorry?
Are we referring to Airbnb?
Airbnb
rentals?
is one of the sites that we have accessed. When we accessed a couple, and the screen blew up with the number of B&Bs in Kerrville. As the gentleman said, they're not paying their hot taxes.
Right.
They're not registered with the city. Mr. Rideout's going through the proper steps, and they require a conditional use permit. Now, one of the things we're looking at is that something that we need to continue doing? If it is, then we need to go out and actively enforce that. If it's not, then we need to change the ordinance. There's also some legislation at the state that may limit cities' abilities to monitor and manage B&Bs anyway. So we're waiting to see what happens with that.
So, I have a couple questions. Mr. Rideout, you and your wife live there on one of these properties?
We do.
And you'll just have a certain number of employees that will take care of the things that need to be taken care of?
Yes, we have a separate maid service, a separate lawn and maintenance service, and number of people that help
Okay.
us out.
Second question is, I know this is a conditional use permit, and I think this is a great project. I mean, I think this is ideal. I love what you've done, and I mean, there's a lot of pride in everything you've done in it. But we grant this conditional use permit, and you have a lot of these B&Bs come out of the network, or come out of the woodwork and say, well, I want to do the same thing. You did it for them.
Yeah.
Is that an issue for us,
No.
or everything is case by case?
Everything's case by
Okay.
case. Everything is case by case.
That would be my only concern, because I think this is a fabulous project.
And one of the things, and Mr. Rideout and we discussed this briefly. I mean, he presented such a package that we really didn't have anything, is, one of the things that you need to keep in mind as a commission and further up the line when council is if this room were full of his neighbors who did not want this.
Right.
Okay?
Different issue.
Would be an issue that you would need to consider. The only thing that I can require in the ordinance to the B&B is that I can require, and he's met that requirement, is that's to park the bedrooms for the B&B. In addition to the parking that he would normally have in his residence. So he's accomplished that parking. So, that's why we have no issue with this. Now, you know, and we would not really get involved if the neighbors were upset. We would let, you know, that work out. But that's really the thing that will, as if these cases do come up, will be the neighbors' complaint.
Well, I mean, assuming that this goes forward and assuming that you get into enforcement of some of these B&Bs you find that are not paying their taxes, it's an issue that'll come up with someone else. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, if everyone meets these standards right here, I would not have a problem with any of them. So it was just my question.
Thank you, Joe.
I had a question for Mr. Rideout again about how close are the neighbors? In terms of what their plots are right next to each other, but about how far away, you know, you have on the edge here is the parking, the extra parking there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it right on the edge of?
Where, I mean, the houses, even though the lots are big, there are houses that are pretty close. A lot of these, like some of our houses were built in the 40s, some of our structures, and we've, you know, significantly remodeled them, but in fact, we came previously to the Board of Adjustment and got a variance to stay just within line of the previously built lines. So some of the property, some of the structures are 3 to 6 feet off the property line, but then the adjacent properties haven't built that close. And so, and even those 6 properties, we planted 11 large pampas grass along the fence line in order to shield and protect both the sound and the sight and everything, to protect those intentionally. And they've already grown up pretty large and are going to accomplish their goal. And so we paid a lot of attention to, you know, sight and sound privacy and that sort of thing. So.
I drove up and looked at this project, and I can tell you it is not intrusive at all. And shoot, I mean, it's a great addition to that area.
Well, I do for a living what Garrett does for a living, so I'm used to it. I'm just glad that we finally got to do it for ourselves. So.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Brian O'Connor with the Kerr Economic Development Corporation. It's with great pleasure that I endorse a project that is so tastefully and smartly done. I've been out to the project site. I've looked at all the materials. I have a background in planning. It's been well done. There's been so much sensitivity to the neighbors, to the environment there as well. Actually, I believe that Mr. Rideout really kind of sets the standard for B&Bs. I don't know how many we have in our community, but I would wholeheartedly encourage others to follow the standard that he has set. I think this is something that's very much needed in this community, and I hope you'll support the application. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Anybody else need to address the commission during the public hearing portion?
Mr. Chairman, could I ask Charlie a quick question, please? What's the impact of an operation like this in terms of hotel tax?
They will
Roughly.
also, they'll also participate. They'll be paying 13%. 6% goes to the state and 7% goes to the city.
Okay. And so that's a barrier that you see for these people that are under the radar?
Absolutely. We'd love to have their portion too.
Their fair share.
Absolutely, right.
Likewise. So if this, and I've also been to the project and have driven by it and taken a look at it, and if this is indeed a poster child, if it would be.
As it should be.
As should be. And I think we should attempt it all, and you guys should attempt to make it non-punitive as it can be to get this project moving forward and see, you know, and get everybody to get on the same page, and let's do it right. You know, again, we don't want to be like the F-Town, but we do want to be able to provide you guys support in what you're trying to do. So, okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again for your comments.
You say F-Town? You say F-Town? He gets ready for it.
Seeing no further responses to the public hearing, I close the public hearing at 5:05. We're going to address 4E from an action perspective and 4F separately. Do I hear any comments or concerns from the commission?
Gordon, on a conditional use, is there a time limit?
No, sir.
No, okay.
No.
It doesn't expire.
No, the conditional use is basically, not basically, it is a zoning change. It's a modification to a zoning district, and it runs with the property.
Even if the property sells?
Hmm?
If the property sells?
If the property sells.
It's transferable.
Yeah, they don't, it's not owner, it's not owner specific.
Okay.
So if Mr. Rideout and his wife decide after 4 or 5 years they get tired of picking up beer cans and stuff, and they sell it, the conditional use goes with the property.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll accept a motion on 4E.
I would make a motion that we grant the conditional use permit as requested.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. And then for 4F, action for the conditional use permit. Any comments? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the request as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0.
Both of these items will be on the city council's agenda on June 27th.
Okay, thank you. Very ambitious, but I know your background now, so I'm sure it's well done.
It's very refreshing to see someone do a project like this and take it from start to finish the way it should be done, as opposed to trying to, fly under the radar or cut corners. It's pretty impressive. Nice thing for the city of Kerrville.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 4G, public hearing and action on a conditional use permit. Gordon?
Yes, sir, this is another conditional use permit request. This one is for vehicle sales and service. Used, which is another way of saying used car sales. Our ordinance says a little bit different, but this is a request for a used car, I hate to say lot, but a used car lot at 1750 Junction Highway. The applicant's here. Could probably make a better case than I can. The building at 1750 Junction Highway is in addition to the office for the used car facility, is the appliance repair place, if you know that, you know where that is. Like I said, the applicant is here, and staff has put together a modest presentation that I ran out of, and we'll answer any questions, and direct questions should be asked to the applicant himself. Hey, Kirk, you probably want to come up here and introduce yourself and let them answer you some questions if they have any.
Would we open the public hearing?
You can do that too, sir.
Okay. Let's open a public hearing on this at 5:09. Anyone wishing to make a statement to the commission, approach the podium, state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Sheehan. I live at 104 Homestead Drive, which is the deeded homestead, a property of some significance to Kerrville. We don't have any objection to this conditional use permit. However, as we've learned today, it runs with the property. There is very little information about how far back into this second lot this operation can go initially or could go eventually. I bring to your attention that there is a drainage swale which runs from property across Goat Creek Road from Homestead Drive, where that comes in, and it goes all the way through the houses that are on Homestead Drive, around the back, around the ones that are abutting this property, underneath Lime Creek Road, underneath Junction Highway, and thence to the river. So it's important that we know clearly and have it defined clearly in this permit, in this conditional use permit, where that development is going to end, because it may well end in a very short space, as it's shown on this very well-designed depiction. But if the property is sold, someone may decide they want to put it a lot further in. That's going to impact certainly our neighbors at 101, 103, and 105, and I'm here because they were away from the city, and they want information so they can prepare what they want to do when we have the hearing later in June. So it would be reassuring, I think, to people to know exactly what the limitations are going to be. I see a fence is depicted in one of the illustrations, but there's nothing in writing. There's no limitation that I can see in this conditional use permit, and we'd feel a lot more comfortable if something like that were there. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Edith Thomas. I own 111 Homestead, and I'm basically trying to figure out how that will affect my property as far as the noise level, as far as the traffic flow period. How large is this car lot going to be? The reason that I'm concerned about that is, and I'll point that out over here, this is the medical facility right there. The trees used to go all the way to here. My house is right there. A couple of years ago, whoever owns this property removed all the trees and built a retaining wall that is a homemade retaining wall for starters. It's terribly ugly. I'm not sure whether he got a permit or needed a permit. That's besides the point. Since then, the noise level in my yard and in my house has gone up tremendously. If more of this area and all these trees are going to be cut down, the noise level in this area is going to be even worse. Now, I've planted shrubs and grass and whatever I can to try to calm that down. But as far as the property values in this neighborhood, I have to question whether the property values will go up. I'm assuming they'll probably go down. The noise will be considerably more, and I just want that to be considered in all that. Over the past 5 years, my property taxes have increased each and every year, but the noise that I have to put up or down is terrible, and I just don't want that to continue to get worse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm Kirk Story. I have the property at 1750 Junction Highway with my wife as well. We acquired the lot on the right-hand side in about 1985, and we purchased the lot on the left-hand side about 1987, and we've operated a business out of there for years. Things have changed. We sold new appliances at one time, so life has just changed the way we do things. We want to get into the used car business on a small scale. I can address all the questions they had. I think Gordon had a slide that I actually had blacked some stuff out to show you. The blackout area is where I am proposing to put hot rolled asphalt in. My primary request would be to go right into here. And if you go back to the other one, about a foot, and I'm not tall enough, but the only amount that'll be gone is about right there. We just need to clean it up so that we can get a clean line. I just actually this week had a tree here removed that was a nuisance tree, a tree here, and some dead trees right in here. That's as far as shrubbery goes, that's it. So I want to primarily operate on the 22-825, the right-hand side. But because I own the other side, I have all kinds of trailers and travel trailers and stuff that I want to be able to put on there. So the actual, it's about 30 feet by 75 feet asphalt that I have in there is more going to be just for an overflow, maybe one or two cars, maybe some additional parking. Sometimes we have some employee stuff. They right now are parking in a graveled area. In fact, actually, the right-hand side used to be chip seal about 25 years ago, which was poorly maintained, and between the digging this up and digging that up, it got out of control. So.
Are you converting this site completely to used cars? Or
No.
Continue to make your appliance business?
We're still going to do the appliance business, the repairs and used sales. We're not going to service any cars over there. We're simply going to purchase them, resell them. I can't make a living doing one or the other. Life's just changed. We went from 3 stores to hundreds of them, or not hundreds, but about 15 or 20 employees. But in 2010, the Maytag company sold and cut all the independent guys out, so we had no choice but to stop selling new. Right now, we make a pretty good living, but my wife and I work, and my youngest son work with us, so it's a pretty small operation, but we do a pretty big one.
Well, what's the maximum capacity you have for cars on these lots?
On the right-hand side, actually, once I took that little tree out, I could put about 20 cars maximum, depending on the size. I'm a small dealer, and to be quite frank with you, I don't floor plan or any of that stuff. I just take my savings cash and I buy a car and I put it on the lot, and I get it fixed up and I put it on the lot and I turn around and sell it. So my investment's in the cars. So I don't ever envision myself being a floor plan guy. I mean, I'm just buying and selling. Again, the left-hand side of it, that was more, I wanted to make a green area in the front. I wanted to build a fence across there to hide all the stuff behind it. Also, it would create some noise from those levels. And I realize what you're saying. If it's not written down, then I guess somebody, if I sold the property, they could asphalt all the way back into the line. So, I'm okay with that. That's my vision. Quite frankly, I'm 55 years old. I've been working that since I was about 20, and I'm probably not going anywhere. I'm probably going to have to work till I'm about 85 or 95 the way it's going. So I don't see a sale in my future, but that's what we would like to do. We're prepared to do it. If you've priced asphalt, it's quite a bit of investment, but we're willing to invest in it. So I don't know if that helped any of the noise questions. And I did own the property that you're talking about. I peeled that off. This right here, this line is a new line. Mr. Napper that owned this, that has the big lease, needed some more parking. They were asking for some more parking, so I'm the one that sold that property that went all the way back. Way back here, it was of no use to me, really value, so I sold it to him, and that's how it is. So my property used to go from here, here, all the way to here. I mean, it encompassed all that.
Are you talking about the property behind 1740?
Yeah,
That's
the
what
one she was referencing.
That's what you sold?
I'm aware of the fact that you sold that.
Yeah,
Mr.
so,
Member, yeah.
but to be quite honest with you, I mean, I can't see the subdivision back there. They can't see me right now, and that's the way I think we all want to keep it, I'm just not aching to go out there and tear a bunch of wildlife out and a bunch of trees and all that. I mean, natural's good. We just want to spruce it up a little bit.
All you're proposing to do is in front of the building and not behind the building? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, we'll do absolutely nothing, nothing behind it other than if you go by there, it's about, it's just about a little line where you just need to really kind of go up and clean it up. It's just overhang.
The thing is, when you do asphalt, you're creating impervious cover, which creates more runoff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Lime Creek will become more active probably. How deep is Lime Creek through there?
It's pretty deep. It's probably right there on that corner, that any runoff that would go that way. It's probably an 8-foot drop, maybe a 10-foot drop. It's pretty steep. I mean, it's another reason not to go any further back, because then you get into having to do retaining walls and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so the drop is about.
During these heavy rains, how much activity that goes into that creek from your viewpoint?
4 inches. It tears through there for the first, and then it continues to leach out of the property.
24 inches is what you.
When it's running hard, you get a couple feet of water in it, because not only does it drain that piece of land across from Homestead Drive off of Gold Creek Road, that whole place back in there, the city has gone in and made some cuts to help drain it. It also drains all of the homes on Homestead Drive, all the homes on the opposite side, the houses from the other side. So the closer you get to where your business is, the more runoff is involved. But if deer walk through there, you can't, unless you're looking over, you can't see them.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
So it's,
So when if this conditional use permit is granted, is there a limitation on how much paving you can do?
This is a delicate question to answer. Well, the easy answer is no. The other answer is that on the lot that this gentleman is concerned about, there's a floodplain line that goes back there that he'll have to stay out of, okay? So, but if the property is developable, then both lots, this is a 2-lot tract, could be developed for this use. Now, you can restrict that use when you make your motion to the size of how much. You could restrict it all to one of the lots, the lot on the, what he's calling the right-hand side.
Well, give me the number.
Is that 22,825 right at 22,825?
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
That is what's left over of lot 2.
And you own 22,824 as well?
Yeah, he owns both of them.
So
That's the request. is on both of those. Now, if I could, just to finish up, to answer the lady's question about the noise, you know, I don't know that used cars parked there are gonna generate that much more noise to the property. I think you're hearing, just increased traffic on 27.
I agree, there's a lot of that going on,
Yeah.
but needless to say, with as many trees as previously have been
Yeah.
chopped down already, I
Yeah.
guess I hear them better. Now, my concern also is people stopping by there on a regular basis, car doors slamming on Saturdays, people talking in and out, et cetera. It's not just the traffic noise.
Okay.
It's also the customer base that's gonna be there.
And
And then
the,
my other question is, how many cars, more than there's already, because it's already a car lot now.
yeah.
There's
How
13
many
cars
more
out there right
cars
now.
are going to be there? You know, is it gonna end up with the overflow at about 50 to 100, or,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
is there a limit?
I mean, some of that, you gotta be honest, you can't fit 100 cars in there, so that's not gonna happen. I mean, and some of it's due to the physical abilities. And again, if I had to do anything, I would just develop this side. I don't really wanna spend the extra 20,000 to put all this in here, except we thought it'd be nice to have a place to have some low overflow parking, for
You can restrict it to that
ourselves.
side.
Well,
We're gonna have a guy out there, but I won't, I'll be honest with you, I will not develop this if I can't sell a car there, because if I all of a sudden get a good buy on a couple of cars and I have 2 or 3 more than I want here, and I can't put 1 or 2 here, or consign or do something over here, I'm not gonna spend 20 grand on asphalt.
what is the development setback presently, forget the conditional use permit, for his property behind his building and the lot next door? Does he have the ability to go all the way back and just take all of the green out and put whatever he wants back there from a business standpoint?
You know, if he were expanding the appliance repair business, is that the question? Yes. He could, and I don't say that the front yard setback is probably at this, and I don't have the exact number, but 25 feet off the front, 7.5 off the sides, and 25 off the rear. He could
He
develop.
could go all the way back to 25 feet, take all those trees out anyway, forget the car lot.
He lives down the creek.
There's a creek down there.
No, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, he could develop, fully develop the developable area of that lot, absolutely.
So whether we give this conditional use permit or not, if he
Yeah.
chose to do that, he could do
Yeah.
it. That would
Yeah.
have an impact on the neighbors as
Yeah,
well, but it's.
it would have
it's
a
legal.
similar impact on the neighbors, if not more, because it'd be building. So, yeah, that's doable. You know, how the property was sold and the development of the additional parking lot at the medical clinic is really not part of this request. I agree with that the city does not have a tree ordinance or anything that maintains or preserves trees. We just don't have that. The issue here would be if there is an amiable solution to this, is restrict it all to one lot. It basically what he shows on 22-825. I mean, that's there right now. Now, in all honesty, we found this operation in existence that it did not have the conditional use permit it requires. That's why it's here. And you can see from the aerial photo, he was already there.
Yeah,
And we were working.
He's been doing this for some time.
We got 5 complaints one morning on used car lots. The other 4 decided to fold up and go home. And Kirk here said, "I've got too much invested in this. I need to come in and try to get right." And so that's what he's been doing ever since, is trying to do this the right way and get his conditional use permit.
So the conditional use permit is being requested for both of those properties?
He owns both pieces of property, and he put the request in for both pieces of property.
Well, obviously, to me, the 22-845, or excuse me,
22-825.
824.
Okay.
That piece.
That piece there that he's putting in the front is the best location for presentation.
Yeah.
Drive by, you're going to see better view of the vehicles than the ones in the back of 825. So that's a better position for a car presentation.
If you're a car
It's
dealer,
in
you're probably
824 than it is the back of 825. I mean, physically, he's parking cars all over on 825 now, and he's parking them on 824, but it would make a better presentation to have a better lot, I think, on the highway. If it's on, you look at the car dealers on 27 already, they've got a lot of their cars up on the road. I mean, that's really how they get people to stop, is the ones on the road, not the ones in the back. But that causes them to look around. So I can see why you'd want that particular lot.
Well, and again, for me, I want that, I want a piece of few there, but I want to put the bulk just like I have them. Some of the pictures, the overview you're showing are a lot smaller. I mean, a lot older, so it's kind of overcrowded, you know, learning this and that. And, you know, we decided that we needed to cut that back and go to, you know, 16 or 18 higher end quality cars, because we're a cash business on top of it. So we're not a pay here business, you know. Our customers come in, write us a check, and leave, and we're selling $4,000 to $10,000 cars. So, you know, that's the way we're doing it.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, and I understand your motivation, but I also understand the neighbor's concern, that they're concerned about you put this operation in and someone likes it so much and comes and makes you a deal you can't refuse and say, I'm going to pave that whole damn thing. I'm going to put 100 cars out there.
Yeah.
That's a concern for the neighbors, and I understand that. So we need to be able to, if we can, figure out a way to make everybody happy. It's my opinion.
Can we do a limited conditional use permit based on a line?
Sure.
And my other question, and we've already got a use on this property for retail?
Yes, we do. Well, we have a use for retail on
Appliances, right?
Yeah, the 22-825. That is
okay.
the appliance repair sales. Appliance repair and sales is a permitted use at this location, so that use is legal.
What about 22-824?
There is no use on that property right now. It is what he is using it right now as it indicates, which is overflow parking.
So it's not zoned commercial?
Oh, it's zoned the same base zoning as the other tract, which is District 4W, which is one of our many non-residential districts in the city. And it allows some uses that commonly are referred to as commercial. But we
loosely referred to.
Yeah, loosely referred to. We do not have
commonly.
we do not have a commercial district in the city of Kerrville. We have several districts that allow non-residential uses. Mm-hmm. This is one of them.
So from the neighbor standpoint, the noise issue is really not something we can really control. I mean, he can have 50 customers coming in there and opening and closing their car doors and everything. I think it's more of an issue of how far away can you keep the conditional use permit for the car sales from.
I mean, if you look in other, and I don't want this to sound trite, but if you know, other areas of town, I mean, with this vegetative screen that they have, they've got a pretty good screen from the commercial district. Now, I understand that there is increased noise, and there's increased traffic, and the trees aren't going to stop it, and a 6-foot wooden fence isn't going to stop it. That's just unfortunately what's happening, and at this signalized intersection, you're getting a lot of acceleration and deceleration that you probably don't get on other stretches of the road that increases the noise. So there are a number of factors that are increasing the noise level for the neighborhood, and some may be coming from this use, but some are also coming from just traffic on 27.
Well, that's something we can't control, the noise factor. What we can control is how much of this property gets used for used car sales.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we grant a conditional use permit, carte blanche, you can cover that whole place with used cars, and we can't do anything about it. And that's what the neighbors are concerned about, and I understand that. So,
can we give a distance? Can we say conditional use?
Absolutely.
Up to, 100 feet from the front property line on Junction Highway? I just guessed 100 feet. I'm trying to think of where more or less the back of the existing building is, and limit the development somewhere.
You know, like I said, I think
What is your,
What's your reaction to that?
Well, I have no problem putting a number on it. It needs to be a reasonable number on this property right here.
we can't see where you're pointing, so.
No, I'm sorry. Well, on the 22,824,
Uh-huh,
you're talking about 100 feet from the front property line back.
Correct.
uh-huh,
Yeah, I could live with that, no problem.
Okay.
That's plenty.
Because that whole property line length is 231 feet.
Yeah, that's,
And so it'd be going a little less than half of that. And like I said, I'm trying to line up, a little more than what you have drawn for where that fence
Sure.
is, but,
It'd be close to back of his 22,825
right.
line. If you draw that line across there, it'd be
Yeah.
close to that number.
yeah, I don't see myself developing that, but if you were gonna write that in the ordinance for.
Well, see what that does for us.
I know.
Is it, the next
Is
guy
that-
comes
The
in
next
and has
guy
to
comes in.
ask for extension.
does that
beyond-
work for, does that work for the neighbors, do you think, if we limit no cars further back than, say, the back of his building? On 22,824?
I'll speak only for myself and my wife. That would address our concern.
Okay.
I want to be clear that we're not here because we are trying to stop somebody.
Understood.
from having a business.
You have concerns.
Only to protect those trees are hard to come by, as you know,
Mhm.
and they do a pretty good job of mitigating the noise that comes off Junction Highway, or as we like to call it, Daytona 500. And so we just want to make sure that when a tree comes down, it's for a really good reason, and we don't think that's a good reason. But it doesn't look to me like, if we're going back just to the back line of.
Well, for me, as I've mentioned before,
825,
my concern has always been when you put hard surfaces on, you're creating more of a flood problem around the neighborhood that you don't see sometimes. So I think the 100 feet is a good suggestion, if it's okay with you. We'll write it that way.
are you looking at 100 feet, or are you looking to the rear of the existing building?
22,825.
I would go with the rear of the existing building.
Does that work for you, rear of the existing, no further,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I think
Over-
that's what you've got on the right side, so.
Yeah, right, yeah, no, I would just wanna be able to do that on the right side, the left side. That's more
What
than
we
that's
will-
more than I anticipated. That's.
You don't have to, you just.
What we will try to do is well, not what we will try to do, what we will do is I will get our crack GIS guy to measure that line and put a specific number to it, and not just put.
Before we
to the-
give them
to the rear
conditional
of the
use
building.
permit, I agree.
Okay?
Well, I think you could go the back of that building, straight across, parallel to Junction Highway, over to close to where that fence, where it is,
Yes, sir.
and then draw it down to Lime Creek Road West. And that gives you a pretty,
Yeah, we'll draw that line out and put a specific number to it.
Okay.
Okay?
Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, I think that will work, and we'll limit the amount of trees that will have to come down. Yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you something, it really doesn't limit the amount of trees, because he owns the property, he can take any tree down he wants to, but he doesn't want to, so.
any other comments for the public hearing? Yes, sir.
Bruce Strachey, 821 Earl Garrett here in town, and just more of a general comment from a commercial standpoint, and that's the business that I'm in here in Kerrville. I know Kirk, and I don't know these folks, and I haven't studied this issue before coming tonight, but a couple of issues came up that I want to address. First one is pervious cover. The city requires impervious cover. We used to be able to put down gravel, have gravel driveways and gravel parking lot like I have at my office on Earl Garrett, which is really nice because it does address allowing water to get back into the earth better, and we don't have as much problem. Now, it also sometimes when it's not done correctly creates an issue where gravel's washing out in the street, which is the reason the city requires now impervious cover. But that's something we should look at again, because there are ways to do pervious covers that helps with these kinds of issues. It doesn't overload our streams and addresses a number of the things that were brought up here tonight. The other thing that was brought up tonight is we don't have a tree ordinance or a grading ordinance in the city, and we get these kinds of issues that come up. As a commercial broker, it's a gray area that creates these kinds of questions that makes it more challenging to do things. Then specifically about this site, looking at the W4 zone and the permitted uses, and the fact that not only is this property, but most of the houses behind here are in the floodplain. The uses on this property are extremely limited. The two that come to mind very quickly are car sales and an RV park. And there aren't many other things you can do. You can't expand Kirk's building. You can't add on to it because it's all in the floodplain. And it was built before we regulated that stuff as well as we do today. And so there are very limited uses for a corner that's really a high traffic corner here in Kerrville, and we need to think carefully about how do we allow business owners to make a living and do things and do it in accommodating neighbors who are adjacent to those things. And anyway, I just wanted to bring those things up, and I thank you guys all for your service. This is a great city we live in, and you all come up with really good solutions all the time. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Any other comments from the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 5:36. Questions or comments from the commission?
Well, I guess what we need is if the commission is deciding to try and limit how much of the property can be used in the conditional use, then we need a number, and as stated, a number from the back of the existing building, and I guess we would have to hold on any action until we have a number that we can.
You can postpone that if you would like. It's up to you.
I think we should postpone until we know what that number is going to look like, and we can have it there for, obviously, since there are concerned individuals about what that number might be.
What we can do is we can get that number. I've got a fair idea of how you want to style the request or style the conditional use, and we can put that together and bring it to you by the 15th.
Is it better to handle it that way, or can we just say to the back of the building?
I think it would certainly make it. I think it would make us all feel more comfortable if we knew what that number was.
That was specific.
And it's drawn on a line, there'd be a line there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what we're saying is we're gonna grant this conditional use permit subject to the design and the limitation of what we're talking about, so you understand we're not trying to put you off and we're not trying to deny it.
No, and I appreciate that. We're ready to go as soon as we get to go. So.
And I think we want to go. We want to go right.
No, I totally agree. I'd be the same way. The back of the building doesn't work for me. There needs to be a number. So it makes sense to wait till the 15th, get the number plugged in, and then go with it. That's what we need to do.
Hey, do we have a motion in that regard?
He just made it.
I move that we postpone action on this item until we have a distance number off of the front property line to apply to the conditional use.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Staff reports.
Yes, sir. We have another full agenda for the next meeting, and we added 2 more items to that tonight. So we will have a full load on the 15th. I did mention, like I did, we will be doing an annexation and zoning public hearing, and we will also bring back to you some revisions to the home occupation that we made based on our last meeting. So we'll have that discussion as well.
Cool.
All right?
Okay.
Okay.
Good
I'll
meeting.
accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion second. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you.